Welcome everyone to the next show of CFO Inside TV. I'm very happy to have you here again this week, and I'm also very happy to have with us Gerd Stürz, partner at Ernst Young and sponsor of the CFO study series that Ernst Young conducted recently. Welcome, Gerd.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to have you here. I already mentioned you're a sponsor of a CFO study series Ernst Young did. We know the DNA of the CFO was a recent example, and now more recently you issued the latest issue, which is CFO and Beyond, which deals primarily with CFOs serving on as non-executive board members. So I'm very keen to talk with you about the options CFOs have there. And my first question would be, what are your main findings in terms of how attractive such a non-executive role is for CFOs?
Well, the key message, and this took me by surprise kind of from the recent study, is that there's a growing and increasing demand for CFOs in non-executive roles. While in like 10 years ago, there's been not more than 36% of the CFOs holding non-executive directorships. Today it is roughly 46%, so an increase by 10% point over the last 10 years.
And why might that be the case? Is there any?
Well, there's various reasons. From what I see, there's two major reasons, which is one is the most recent change in regulatory environment, an increasing awareness of regulatory activities of board directors and boards as such per se. And secondary, there's a changing macroeconomic environment. In times of crisis, it's good to have somebody on board and on the board who's familiar with financial expertise.
What time span does the study cover? So do you think those regulatory changes are already built into the results you found?
Well, the time span that we've analyzed is the last 10 years. So we are looking in a period from 2002 to 2012 and the development in the various positions since then up until 2012.
What you say financial expertise has become more prominent, more important. Before the change, or what are the most kinds of people that sit on those non-executive boards? Is it CEOs still, or?
No, you need a variety of competencies on a board. I mean, regulatory is important, but not all. Finance is important, but not all. But you need people who are able. You need members of a board need to be able to understand the board language and the board rules. And a CFO who serves as an executive board member in his primary role is quite familiar with the board language and the board behavior and how he can make things happen. So, which means that in addition to financial expertise, historically in these boards you see and you find operational people responsible for operations, people having an industry background, people having an industry background in a way that they can analyze market development, which is of critical importance from a strategy point of view. But on top of that, today it is getting increasingly important to have a very strong focus on macroeconomics, means on financial performance, and on regulation.
In the report, I think you mention, not you personally, but the authors, that some CFOs find it probably inappropriate to sit on non-executive boards.
Yeah.
Is that something why is that the case, and do you think it is inappropriate?
I've seen that, and this took me by surprise. I mean, the numbers show that roughly 40% of the CFOs we've talked to think that it is appropriate, and another 40% think it's inappropriate. So it's a stock.
Okay.
And the reasons are valid. But both groups have valid reasons. One, and the primary reasons, those who say it's inappropriate, is the time constraint. It requires a significant amount of time to serve on a board. It is not like a hobby that you can spend 4 times a year having board meetings and in between there's nothing going on.
Okay, so it's not a beautiful time of going fishing together.
It's a challenging task.
Okay.
It's a challenging task, and I don't want to speculate about how it was in the past, but we know today it is you need to have available time to be a non-executive board member even, and some 40% admit we wouldn't have the time. Some other 40% feel that they would have the time to contribute, and maybe they have a different way to look at things and a different way to organize themselves. So there's no answer per se, it being good or bad or appropriate or inappropriate. I would say the personal ability to free up time and serve on this board drives the decision if or if not one should or should not.
What about the insights you get on such a board? Is that something a CFO might have a problem with? Getting too much insight into a company where he's not an executive, actually?
Now you will. Confidentiality is a given. I mean, if you are an executive or non-executive board member, you have to apply, and you do apply confidentiality rules. What you gain as insights is of course, deep inside company knowledge, which you need to have in order to support and advise on decisions. A board role is twofold. One is you're supposed to give guidance and advice to executive management, and the other is to supervise and control executive management. So it's guidance and control, or supervision and advice. And these two roles make it important. It's of critical importance that you have the full package of information in order to understand decision.
So what are the main features or personal skills you would say, maybe the top three that a CFO needs to have to be a suitable member?
Yeah, it is for sure. I would call it. You might expect me saying that technical expertise is the argument number one. I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
It is of relevance and importance, but you have a variety of different technical expertise in your board. This is one aspect only. I think what is of greater importance is you need to be authentic and experienced as a leader. You need to understand how business works, how the industry functions, and you need to be able to convert this from the world you're serving on as an executive in your company into a different company that you're serving on as a non-executive.
But at the same time, serving on such a board does help you build your expertise as well, right? So the key benefits would be getting more insight and also getting a different view on business, which is sort of out of the box of your daily task as a CFO.
My advice to any CFO in that sense would be to always check very critically if he or she has availability to assume such role, because it is. Any of these roles is also not only beneficial for the company that you're serving for, it's also beneficial for you. I mean, you get insights beyond your primary role as CFO for your employing company. You get insights from other industries, other companies, etc. It's to the benefit to both of them, the company as well as the CFO.
It was a very nice closing remark and a finishing sentence, only that we're not at the end yet. We still have our 3 final CFO Inside TV questions, which I would like to answer you with just yes or no, ideally, or maybe a little bit longer. My first would be, would you say CEOs or CFOs are better suited for non-executive board memberships?
Both equally.
You're cheating out. If a CFO of a given company would ask you directly, should I assume this role as a non-executive board member, would you generally advise yes or no?
Generally yes, and then look into it as to his or her availability, etc.
And you personally, if you were a CFO and you would be asked to join a membership, would you have the time? Would you do it?
I would love to. I would probably not have the time, but our ground rules as a partnership do not allow us to serve as members on any board.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much also for joining us. I hope you had an interesting TV talk, and I can only recommend to look further into those studies and findings, and maybe also make up your mind whether you want to serve on another board. And I look forward to seeing you again next week for our next show of CFO Inside TV, and thank you very much for joining.